Hey everybody, welcome to Bad Relationship Advice with Damian and Monika. This is the program where real people talk about real issues. And today's topic is something some of us have probably experienced. You ever woken up and felt like things were just slightly different? Well, today's topic is parallel universes. And joining us today is Edgar, who's going to share some of his parallel universe stories. Edgar, thank you for joining us today.
I am thrilled to be here, and I'm sure all of my parallel Edgars are also thrilled to be at the parallel podcasts.
Right. According to parallel universe theory, there are infinite parallel universes out there, so infinite instances of us making this broadcast today. So we'd like to just say hello to all of our infinite viewers out there. And Monika, how are you doing today?
Good. Which Monika?
I need to hear like millions of Monikas greeting me all at once.
Of course, yeah.
All right, so we're going to start out today's program. We're going to actually talk about an article from BuzzFeed, 9 strange stories that might make you believe in parallel universes, and we're including a link to this article in the description below the video. We'll talk about these, and then we'll see if this convinces you that maybe parallel universes really do exist.
Right?
We're resetting the paradigm on discussions of parallel universes. Absolutely.
So we actually have got quite a bit of material. We have some sciencey stuff talking about some different theories and things. We have some discussion about these articles. And then we have actually some personal ideas, you know.
We read this BuzzFeed article about green kids in the 12th century. It was crazy.
I mean, the 12th century makes me wonder how accurate record keeping was. Ye old greeny girls hath arrived.
That would be, I don't know if you guys have ever had this experience where you just sort of woke up and things were slightly different. Lorena Garcia waking up one morning and she noticed slight differences in her reality. For example, her sheets were not the same. Okay, it doesn't stop there. So she goes to work and discovers that her office is no longer hers, and that even though she worked in the same building but in a different department, although under a boss she had never met. She goes home only to find that her ex-boyfriend is there. Only he's not her ex-boyfriend, but her current boyfriend. And her new lover, who she had been dating for months, was completely gone. So she tried to find this new boyfriend, but couldn't find him. And she thinks that she woke up in a parallel universe. It's like she's in the same world, but not the same boyfriend, different sheets. The world just kind of changes on you. And you're in a different parallel universe.
Well, yeah, my explanation is that I think that the ex-boyfriend was jealous, did away with the current boyfriend, paid somebody to act like her boss, changed her sheets and her pajamas after a rowdy night of roofies, and then suggested. See, it doesn't say this, but I think her new boyfriend actually planted the idea in Lorena's head. Maybe you're in a parallel universe. Maybe this is all. She's like, yeah, right?
All night when she was dreaming. Parallel universe.
Right.
Parallel universe.
Yes. The power of suggestion.
She did. She went to get herself checked out medically, and the doctor said there's nothing wrong with her.
Well, I think her mystery boyfriend was a time traveler. And then when it was time for him to go home, he was like, Shazam!
Man, he's got like avoidant relationship thing going on where he just travels from time to time, you know, breaking hearts in different dimensions. Maybe it was the new boyfriend and not her at all.
Yeah, clearly that would be the most plausible explanation. Yeah. Well, how would you explain, Edgar, these bizarre events of people kind of waking up and the reality being slightly different?
You went to bed, you woke up with a little bit of a stroke, your mind's like misfiring, making weird connections. Like maybe her new boyfriend was some like hot dude she saw at the subway, and it was just like a flash, oh, that guy's real gorgeous. Stroke out during the night, wake up, your brain's like, oh, I hate my current boyfriend. That guy in the subway, he was real dreamy. He's my new boyfriend.
Right.
But I still like the idea of waking up in a different dimension. It's kind of fun.
Well, like I said, she did get checked out medically and there was nothing wrong with her. So, but yeah, I kind of, I like the idea of a parallel universe as long as you wake up in a dimension that's, preferable.
I think, Monica, I would like to riff off of your story because there are days when I wake up and I'm like, how have I never seen that tree or that house or that, shop before? Like, it's been here for 1,000 years. How have I missed it?
Yeah, that's true. Actually, that happens to me all the time. The idea that the universe, there's like worlds that are constantly being created all the time.
It's a fun theory, but I find it extremely hard to believe that every instant, every decision made by everything in the universe creates a whole new universe. The matter of the universe is just like, it's impossibly huge. So all of that came out of the math. So they were like, this is the theory we want to use, and we have all of this bullshit that came out that we have to explain. So in my opinion, that means their theory isn't very good because they have all of this extra bullshit that they have to explain.
Mm-hmm. Right.
All right, so our next story is this one called The Dude Who Showed Up at Tokyo International Airport with a passport from a country that doesn't exist. And so allegedly this guy comes into Japan for business. He's got legit visa stamps. He's got money from multiple European countries. He's got checks from an unknown bank, and he's got a driver's license issued from a place called Torrid. And he was sent to a hotel to work while they were trying to figure out who he was. 2 immigration officers were outside of his hotel door, which is an excellent use of human resources. And when they went to check on him in the morning, he was gone. He was 15 stories up above a busy street. They don't think he jumped out the window. And the Metro Police Department in Tokyo searched for him, but they never found the man from Torrid. So what does this mean? Obviously, he was transported from a parallel universe and back to a parallel universe. That's certainly the first thing that comes to my mind.
How do you explain that one, Edgar?
I love that story because, we feel like that way when we're coming through customs. We're like, I don't know what's going on. Here's my papers. Can I come in? Sir, where are you? Where can you show me on a map where you're from? Because your country don't exist. What a nightmare that would be. I'm from another dimension. And then they escape from the Holiday Inn at the border. I don't know. Well,
yeah.
Was there something about landing in Japan where the Japanese people are like, that's total nonsense, but come on in, we'll figure it out later? Like in America, they would be like, so you're waiting here. We'll check you out later.
Or we'll get you on the next flight back to Torrid, buddy.
Right.
Can I read the story about the green kids?
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, from the same BuzzFeed article, I thought it was very interesting that that back in the 12th century, 2 children, a brother and sister, allegedly popped up in the village of Woolpit in Suffolk, England. Both had greenish-colored skin, spoke an unknown language, wore bizarre clothing, and initially refused to eat any food other than raw beans. They were taken in, cared for, and eventually they adapted, developing a taste for food and losing the green hue in their skin. Shortly after, the boy became sick and died. But after learning to speak English, the girl explained that she and her brother were from a place where the sun didn't shine brightly and it was perpetually twilight. She and her brother were there herding their dad's cattle when they heard some loud noise and were suddenly in a new place where they were eventually discovered in Woolpit. The girl grew up and integrated herself into her new surroundings. Though it remained unknown how she and her brother got there, the girl went on to get married and live her full life in a dimension that might not actually be her place of origin. Then it says, read the full story at Wikipedia. So I clicked on that.
Okay.
Pretty interesting.
Did she grow up and have green children?
Well, no. But they're talking about how this was not actually an uncommon story at the time. And then there's a historical explanation given by historian Derek Brewer that said the likely core of the matter is that these very small children herding or following flocks straight from their forest village spoke little and in modern terms did not know their home address. They were probably suffering from chlorosis, a deficiency which gives their skin a greenish tint, hence the term green sickness. When a better diet, it disappeared. So, some abandoned children in the forest were green. Sounds like a lot of stories.
Sounds like parallel universes. Well, I guess you could argue that they were living in their minds, they were living in a different universe, right? And then they got transported to one. And I mean, this is 12th century England, so, they could have been speaking French and they would have said it's an unknown language, so.
Yeah. So, I think that's a good point. A parallel dimension doesn't actually have to be a completely different world. It's just not the world you're used to.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I've felt that experience just like coming from Kentucky to Colorado. I mean, it's literally like I just, I was there for 2 weeks and now it's like that was like some kind of a dream, right? It's like these two worlds both exist, but simultaneously, and I can contact people in that world and even go to that world, but it is a totally different place.
That's how I feel like when I'm at the mall. Well, I guess Edgar gave us a rebuttal for the parallel universe theory.
I was just reading from Wikipedia.
Well, it's your research skills that, that's why you're here.
Look at those blue links.
Well, why don't we pick another story, Damian? What's your favorite story?
I'm looking at the shipwreck story. So this guy in Germany just showed up. Says he was shipwrecked in Germany, okay, from an unknown world. So, could be another dimension, could have been Denmark, who knows. But this guy popped up in the village, he was picked up, questioned by authorities. He spoke a broken variation of German, but it said his name was Jofar Vorin, and claimed to be from a part of the world known as Sakria. So he has a name for the place that he's from. He was looking for his long-lost brother. He'd been separated from during his shipwreck. He had geographical information about his home planet, so we're making the assumption he's from another planet. 5 different continents known as Sakra, Aflar, Aslar, Auslar, Eplar. I think this guy's been reading Chronicles of Narnia, if you ask me. He couldn't trace his route on shore and ended up living in Berlin. Not a bad choice. Perfect for this kind of person. And he was the topic of discussion amongst the scientific and simply curious communities. So, whenever a guy just shows up on your shores claiming to be from another world, looking for his long-lost brother, that's someone I'd like to have lunch with.
Yeah.
Have a beer.
So tell me about Aflar and how it's different from Aslar, Auslar, and Eplar. It would suck to be literally in another dimension, going through the trauma of a shipwreck, losing your brother, and then suddenly the light flashes and you're in another dimension. And not only do you have to convey to the people who can barely understand your broken variation of German that you've been through all this stuff, but then you also have to come to grips with the fact that the world that you're from you're not there anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I think at that point you kind of lose your mind. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, then it's hard to like validate your story because you just
How
sound
do you
like a
just
raving lunatic.
well, yeah, and like then you just kind of settle down in Germany, and then life goes on. Like that's kind of how the story ends, and it's like, how do you do that?
Right. Well, it was like Lorena with her boyfriend. Like, oh, well, the guy that I was dating has disappeared. Okay.
No, but she actually like she tried to get help. She was saying, I came from a parallel universe. She tried to reach out to like people on the internet and social media, I guess, but. And like she was just trying to tell her story. She said, I went to the doctor, I got checked out, nothing's, I don't know what's happening. And then she kind of like disappeared off like.
Oh, she disappeared. That was the key.
Well, no, she disappeared in terms of like trying to figure out what happened to her. Like you can't get information on her now. Like I don't know what happened to her.
Oh.
So it's like it's hard to sort of like know then what she did, but it's just kind of why it became newsworthy, and she was in several newspapers, and then like now it's like, well, what happened to her? We don't know.
Oh, Lorena.
So did she just kind of like settle into this reality, like because this can be explained through like a memory loss? You know what I mean? Like there's nothing that
no, because there's physical things that are different, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like she has extra memory versus she forgot who someone was in her life, which could be a memory loss. But like in this case, like how do you just kind of have this whole other, I mean, maybe it was just like some real strong wishful thinking.
Oh, I thought you were going to say some really strong drugs.
Could be both.
Because drugs is the only thing that I can think of that can give you extra memories and create extra worlds for you. Maybe she got some ayahuasca.
Did we come to a conclusion that these folks are crazy? Did we come to a conclusion that parallel universe exists? Do we not care? I forgot that this was bad relationship advice. We should have been talking about, so you woke up and the guy next to you wasn't the guy you went to sleep with. What do you do?
No fucking shit. That's how we should have done it.
Hey, we're still recording, so.
Do you say date rape? Do you say parallel universe? Do you say prank?
Can you claim parallel universe in court? What will the police say?
Very good.
Oh man. Yeah. Yeah, it's that morning after where you kind of wish you could use the parallel universe as a reason. And if only this was just a parallel universe.
In a parallel universe, this guy is really good looking.
I was going with the girl you banged. That was parallel Karen. This is real Karen. Who are you?
Yeah.
Get out of here.
They got switched. Alcohol is like it induces that change from one to the other. All right, well, we have been talking about parallel universes, and we've heard quite a few different points of view and instances. So now let's decide, where do we actually stand on this? I mean, me personally, I'm really interested in the idea, and I feel like I just don't have enough information to say, no, this is impossible. Parallel universes absolutely don't exist. So I'm going to say, I'm certainly open to this being a possibility, but I would also say that I think some of these stories could be better explained in a more, I don't know, more believable way. Edgar, what are you thinking about the parallel universe theory?
Personally, I think the math behind the parallel universe theory is lazy, and they could come up with better ideas. Hashtag hate mail. Again, I love the idea of parallel universes. It's really rich for literature and science fiction. Like in my heart, I really want to believe in a parallel universe, but in my mind, what you see is what you get. So in my opinion, all of these parallel universe stories can be explained by conventional means.
All right. And Monica, how about you? What are you feeling with these parallel universes?
I like to believe that they could exist, and I would like to think they are, not like a very horrific. I mean, I like to think of them as like being they're being possibilities of our universe kind of splitting up, and there being different types of existences. But yeah, it's hard to know because clearly we are completely have not enough information. It's just, I don't know how you explain these kind of glitches that people go through. So yeah, I'm open to it, but just because of like just not having enough information, I guess. And I mean, if you can't prove it doesn't exist, why not?
Why not?
Why not?
Great. Well, yeah, go ahead.
I was just saying why not with everybody else.
Right. Edgar, thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure. I'm always happy to come talk nonsense with you guys.
Great. And we'd just like to thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time right here on Bad Relationship Advice.